All right, today we're going to dig into a single verse from the book of Deuteronomy. And on the surface, yeah, it's about giving. But if you look closer, it's actually a formal public oath, one that shows this incredible direct link between what you believe and how you take care of people.
So this is it. This is the oath at the heart of our explainer today. Just let the language sink in for a second. It doesn't sound like a casual prayer, does it? No way. It feels heavy, right? Like something you'd say in a court of law. It's formal, it's specific, and it's honestly a little mysterious.
So that's the big question for us today. What is really going on with this oath? This isn't just about the act of giving something away. It's about the act of declaring out loud how you've given. And to really get why that declaration is so important, we've got to look at the whole system it was a part of.
And believe it or not, this system was pretty sophisticated. To understand this specific oath, we first have to wrap our heads around the different kinds of tithes, or tenths, that an ancient Israelite had to set aside. This wasn't just, dropping some money in a bucket.
Okay, so here's the key thing you need to get. This declaration wasn't something you did every single year. It was the grand finale, the capstone of a duty that only happened twice in a 7-year cycle. It was all about the third-year tithe, and that one had a very, very special purpose.
So, ancient Israel had, get this, 3 different kinds of tithes. There was the first tithe, which went to support the priestly tribe, the Levites, every year. Then there was a second tithe, which was actually for the family themselves, to go have a big celebration in Jerusalem most years. But it's that third one that's the real game changer here. In years 3 and 6, that second tithe was redirected. It stayed in your local town and became a social welfare fund for the most vulnerable people. That is the fund this whole declaration is about.
Okay, so now that we've got the backstory, let's break this declaration down, piece by piece. Because trust me, every single word in here was chosen for a reason, and it's all packed with meaning.
First up, the declaration kicks off by setting the scene. It tells you where to say this and who your audience is. This isn't some quiet, private prayer. You have to say it out loud before the Lord your God. And that phrase changes everything.
Right there, that little phrase makes this way more than just paying your taxes. It turns it into an act of worship, an act of accountability. When you say it before the Lord, you're literally calling God to be the witness to your integrity. It's a public testimony that says, I'm not just accountable to my community, I'm accountable to God Himself for this.
All right, next up is the action itself. The person declares, I have removed the sacred portion. Now, this isn't just flowery language. It's actually a technical term with a very precise meaning.
The Hebrew word for this is hakadash. It literally means the holy thing. See, the moment someone set aside this part of their harvest for the tithe, boom, it was consecrated. It wasn't theirs anymore. It belonged to God for His purposes, and using it for yourself would be a huge deal.
And that's where removed from my house comes in. It's the proof. It's the receipt, basically. It means the goods have physically left your property. You haven't stashed them away for later. You haven't skimmed a little off the top for yourself. The job is done, completely. You're basically testifying that the deal is sealed.
So, where did all this go? Who was it for? Well, the law is super specific about this, naming 4 very particular groups in society.
You see this group mentioned over and over again, what some scholars call the quartet of the vulnerable. You've got the Levite, who couldn't own land and relied on everyone else. The sojourner, or the foreigner, who had no legal protection. The fatherless child, who lost their provider and protector. And the widow, who lost her financial support. These were the people most likely to fall through the cracks, and this system was built specifically to catch them.
And then the whole declaration wraps up with this powerful 3-part statement of integrity. See, it wasn't enough to just say, yeah, I gave. You had to state exactly how you did it, with precision, with obedience, and with diligence.
This thing is airtight. It covers all the bases. First, there's accuracy, according to all your commandment, meaning you did it exactly right. Then obedience, I have not transgressed, meaning you didn't knowingly break the rules. And finally, diligence, nor have I forgotten, meaning you didn't just let it slip your mind. It's like you're covering your intent, your action, and even your memory. No loopholes?
So let's step back for a second. When you put all these pieces together, what's the big picture here? What is this ancient oath really telling us about how faith, justice, and our own personal responsibilities all fit together?
Well, the takeaway is incredibly clear. Real worship isn't just about what you do in a temple. It's about how you treat the most vulnerable people in your society. This whole thing was basically a divinely ordered social safety net. Caring for the poor wasn't just a nice idea or some optional charity, it was a command. And the whole system relied on the personal integrity of every single person, sealed with that public oath.
Okay, so think about this. You've just made this incredibly detailed, serious, public oath of faithfulness. What's next? What do you say right after that? The very next thing you do is ask for a blessing.
I'm not kidding. This is the very next verse. It's only after you've confirmed you did your part for the community, for the vulnerable, that you then get to look up to heaven and ask for a blessing for everyone.
And that, right there, is the heart of it. The logic is just crystal clear. Your actions, your justice, your obedience, they come first. Taking care of your community wasn't just a nice thing to do. It was the foundation you had to build before you could even confidently ask for God's favor.
So, at the end of the day, this is way more than just ancient history. It's a blueprint connecting personal integrity directly to social care, which kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on, right? How does an ancient blueprint for social welfare like this one shape, or maybe even challenge, our own ideas of what a just and responsible society looks like today?